Hi, I'm Jasmine Nicole. Welcome to the Motivational Mystic, a space for authentic, higher conscious conversations to motivate, inspire, and empower. Thanks for listening. Each week, I'll drop a new conscious raising episode. Let's dive in. We all have moments in our life where we feel like things are spiraling out of control. Or maybe you yourself are spiraling out of control. But it's a response to something. It's a response to obviously not feeling like you have control of a certain area of your life. But what if I told you that we're not always meant to be in control? And what I mean by that is we can get so fixated on needing to have every little thing planned out and trying to micromanage different aspects of our life that when something doesn't go according to plan, people tend to freak out. Whether you are internally spiraling and freaking out or externally acting out in response to things not going your way and feeling a loss of control. However, that is life. Life is not always going to go according to plan. And I think in actuality, that is how we learn many life lessons. Things are not always going to go your way. In those moments, you may feel defeated, but I've realized in times like this, it's just best to surrender to the unknown. If something doesn't work out and you've tried your best to make it happen and it doesn't, maybe it's not meant to happen. Maybe there's a better outcome, a better solution. Surrendering and releasing control is not quitting. It's not like you're trying something one time and things don't go your way, so you give up. There's a difference between quitting and surrendering. Quitting is just giving up on whatever you're working on and never picking it up again. You just cease doing what you're doing at that point in time. What I mean by surrender is coming to a point of acceptance and saying, okay, maybe this isn't working out for me. Maybe there's a better solution that I can't see yet. So I'm just going to step back, step away, and surrender to the idea of what I had planned and what I had in motion and be open to new possibilities. Surrendering is your reevaluation period to create space and give yourself time for other or maybe even better options to present itself to you and come your way. During those times when things are not going your way and you may feel defeated, which is natural, it's best to give yourself some encouragement, reevaluate, and determine what is the next step or best course of action to take. Give yourself a little pep talk. Something to the effect of, okay, girl, you've got this. What I'm doing now isn't working, and it isn't the move. All of this resistance that I'm feeling and experiencing every step of the way, what is this telling me? I know everything isn't supposed to be easy, but things just don't seem to be falling into place. And as I mentioned before, surrendering is just coming to a place of acceptance and reevaluation. Don't quit when things get rough, when things get hard. This is when you're tested the most. And boy, oh boy, do I believe that we are tested in this life. Absolutely. As they say, new level, new devil. Each new level you try to rise to is going to come with its own set of stress and challenges. Before rising to your next level, that is when people often experience the breakdown before their breakthrough. But when you're in the midst of the breakdown, it can be rough. It's tough when things aren't going the way you planned it and you can't figure out why. Stress starts building up, your mind may start to race, but remember to be gentle with yourself. Step away from what you're working on and just remember to breathe. I've learned in times of surrender to become comfortable with being in that gray area, to learn to be comfortable with the unknown. When you are taking steps to follow what feels divinely right for you, it might not always work out the way you envision it. Things might not always go according to plan. When you're carving out a new path or pursuing your life purpose, sometimes that takes you on a completely different new journey, a completely unknown path from what you envisioned, and that can be scary. It can be scary, but it can also be worth it. That's the thing, right? You can plan and plan and plan as much as you want in life, but things don't always go according to plan. And in those moments, you have to just be okay with living in the gray area and learn to become comfortable with the unknown. And that's where there's beauty in the art of surrender. And again, not surrender in the sense of giving up, but surrender in the sense of coming to the realization that my plans are clearly not working out, so there must be a better way of doing this. Let me not get so fixated on making my plan work, where it's the equivalent of trying to force a square peg into a round hole. And just come to the realization that, hey, maybe there is a better way, a higher path, an alternative path, that I just need to take a step back from the original plan in order to see all other alternatives or options. Sometimes you can become so fixated on getting the job done that you don't realize maybe it's not the most productive way of doing things. So, I've learned when things don't work out according to plan and you've exhausted all of your options, trying anything and everything to make it work, maybe it's not supposed to work. And in those moments, it's best to surrender to the unknown, live in that gray area for a little while. We've all had situations where we've had things planned out and things don't work out according to plan, and the alternative result that ended up occurring worked out better than the original plan anyway. So, it's important to leave room for life to surprise us, for life to wow us, because we don't always have control. We don't always have the final say on things in life. Life will certainly humble us all and make us come to that realization very quickly. If you haven't been humbled by life yet, you certainly will. And that is why it's good to be adaptable, to go with the flow, and to really just have an open mind, heart, and spirit in times of uncertainty, to embrace the unknown through the art of surrender. To really drive home the difference between surrendering and quitting, I'm going to share a poem that I wrote that elaborates more on the art of surrender. I call it, I Surrender. Surrender, surrender, I surrender. I surrender to the things outside of my control, which requires me to disidentify with my ego and trust that I'm guided by my soul. When I'm in a state of confusion and don't know which way to turn, it can feel hard to decipher information and use your ability to discern. Take a moment to stop and take a deep breath. Listen to your soul's sweet whisper telling you it's okay not to know what will happen next. This reassurance lets you know there's a higher intelligence working through your being, a higher power that understands you and sees all of what to the naked eye is yet to be seen. The ego freaks out when it feels it's not in control, creating what seems like inner conflict between your mind, body, and soul. I surrender to the fact that I don't need to have everything figured out. There's no need to dwell on negative emotions or self-doubt. Remember to breathe. Take a deep breath in. Feel that nourishing essence activating from within. I trust that I am held by something beyond me, beyond my mind, beyond my thoughts, beyond my body. Make room for Source to work through you. Trust the process and quiet your mind. Make room for miracles to happen when you let go of control and allow yourself to be led by the divine. Once you surrender to the things outside of your control and trust that you are led by your higher self, You recognize you have all that you need to guide you when you're seeking help. You are a God being, a piece of source, an infinite spark. Surrendering requires you to get out of your head and open your heart. Don't get buried in your thoughts. Don't get lost in your emotions. Surrender it all to the universe, and don't get lost in all of the commotion. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Surrendering it all to the universe is a healthy way out. Out of all the suffering, out of all the pain. Let Source wash away your worries and stress like little droplets of rain. Remember that everything is always working out for your highest good, and things will fall into place in perfect timing, the way they should. Take one last breath in and let it out. Having trust and knowing you're being guided is what surrendering is all about. The last line of the poem is a really powerful message. Having trust and knowing you're being guided is what surrendering is all about. We are all being guided in life. I find it interesting, regardless of all the different religions or spiritual practices that exist in this world, they all have one foundational belief that is true for all of them, and that is the belief in a higher power, the belief in a higher being, energy, consciousness, bigger than them, greater than their human form. It's a really beautiful thing to see how all these different religions have different belief systems, but that one thing they have in common is the belief in an omnipresence greater than human beings that ultimately is in control. So when I use the words universe, source, God, to me, those are all interchangeable words for the omnipresence that exists and guides us, which is of a higher consciousness, higher existence. I may dive into this a bit more in a future episode, but in the context of this episode, the universe will give you little nudges or confirmations that you're on the right path, or sometimes even confirmations that you are not on the right path. I think angel numbers do a good job at providing these nudges or confirmations from the universe in a physical and practical way. Numbers are the universal language of Earth. In any language, numbers for the most part are all the same. An angel number that people frequently see is 1111 or 111. There's many more, 222, 333, etc., but a common one people see is 1111 or 111. Seeing angel numbers, it's a wake-up call from the universe, a reminder that you're aligned with your higher path and should pay attention to your thoughts and intentions. So when I say having trust and knowing you're being guided is what surrendering is all about, it's the trust and knowing there is an omnipresence that coexists with us and exists long after we are long and gone, that is here to guide us and help us. By surrendering and being open to receiving this guidance from the universe, we are opening a dialogue with the universe, showing we are ready to receive those nudges, that confirmation that we're on the right path, in a way that is specific to each individual, in a way they can comprehend and understand. Because we all have different ways in which God, Source, the universe, shows up in our lives and communicates with us. It can be different for everyone, but just having the open willingness through the art of surrender is really just kind of heightening that awareness of how the universe speaks to you. So you can work or collaborate with the universe to produce your highest output of whatever it is that you want to accomplish, what you want to achieve. I think there's a beauty in that, but just working on quieting the ego and the mind that constantly wants to micromanage and control things also is one of the things you have to be aware of. And just humble yourself and be open to all possibilities. Those you may come up with yourself, and others that you might be guided to just by being open to how the universe communicates with you. The art of surrender is a beautiful way to open up that dialogue. So, give it a try. Become comfortable with the unknown, living in that gray area. You never know. During that period of time, you may have new possibilities, new epiphanies come your way that you wouldn't have otherwise if you continued down the same path that wasn't working just to get the job done. So, keep an open heart, keep an open mind, and keep an open spirit. That's all I had for today, everyone. Until next time, goodbye.